Our lives are riddled with landmark moments, births, graduations, weddings, funerals, and countless stepping stones that represent personal achievements and, yes, sometimes failures. The Arroyo Channel is one of the tools you can use to document these milestones so that they can be revisited and shared within our communities. Today, we will revisit and share one producer's journey with us as she works to help you create your own milestones. We'll get started right after Norm presses play on that intro. Before we jump into our interview, I want to remind you that this program is about the people that create the programs you see on the Arroyo Channel. In fact, this program is staffed by some of the volunteers in our training. If you want to know how you can get involved, watch the rest of this show to find out. Right now, I have a familiar face to some of you. Peggy Kelly is the producer for Late Night Bride here on the Arroyo Channel. It's a show that focuses on one of life's most important milestones for many, the wedding day. Welcome back, Peggy.
So good to see you, Chevelle.
All right. So this is your second time on the show, not your first time in the studio, not your first time on this show, because you've actually volunteered on this show before.
Absolutely, is where I started.
Yeah. Do you remember who was the person that got interviewed on your first episode, you know?
Karen was the volunteer.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that was early on.
And Julie Banks.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Julie Banks was who was the producer when I was interviewed as the volunteer.
Right. Okay, all right. So let's go all the way back. Where are you from? What's your story?
Once upon a time in a faraway land, better known as Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
There was a little girl who used to watch Walt Disney at 7 o'clock on Sunday nights and said, I just got to get there. I just got to get there. And it took a long time to get here, but I did. I came to LA in 1982. And I actually was in the restaurant business and then got into catering. And my first catering gig was on Walt Disney Studio.
Okay.
And I remember making that phone call to my mom and said, guess where I'm at? And she was like, hard telling, because I was the free spirit in the family. And I told her, and she said, you go. And it's been a long journey to here, but it's been an amazing one.
So I'm guessing from the catering for Walt Disney Studios, that probably led you into your professional field, which is specifically wedding planning? Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm actually an event designer and producer and a wedding designer and producer.
That sounds a lot better than what I said.
No, it's not that. What happened is I started in restaurants, and then I grew into the catering side, which is restaurants on wheels. And Disney was the perfect place to be because you learned about production, you learned about costume, makeup, decor, props, and I learned how to do award shows. I learned how to do premieres and that. And then eventually what brought me to Pasadena was I was the catering director at the Huntington Library and Botanical Gardens.
Wow.
And there I literally did everything from a coffee service to a gala.
Okay.
And then I got married. And that happens to a lot of wedding planners where we get married and then we go, oh, I really love this and let's do it.
Yeah, there's some that love it and some that hate it. So I always wonder what it'd be like with a wedding planner's wedding. Is it like hairdressers where they always have the worst hair, or is it?
I can honestly say I was more mature when I got married, and because I'd been in the business a long time, it was probably a little easier for me because I'm actually in the business. I'm not around the business. Could I take myself out of it? No, I couldn't. And I really warn, brides. They say, "Well, I'm going to do this myself," and I said, "Trust me." You don't want to do it yourself because literally what I did.
I'm having flashbacks of my wedding.
I was in my jeans and tennis shoes setting up my wedding.
Wow.
At noon, I went to get hair and makeup. I went down the aisle at 4 and never quit looking at the vendors to make sure catering was done, lighting was done. Did we cut the cake on time? And at the end of the wedding, I literally took my dress off, put my jeans and tennies back on, and I broke it down.
Wow. That actually ties in a lot with your show on several levels, being a show about weddings and just the whole production process. And before we talk a little bit more about that, we actually have a clip of your show. So for you viewers, I want you to take a look at this and you can see what Peggy Kelly's been up to for the past year. So let's take a look. Here's a little bit of Late Night Bride.
How prepared can prepare our couples for just a stress-free, effortless planning?
We have planning tools, and one of them is on everybody's top list, and that is budgeting. What I like and what I really envisioned was to have a way for couples to kind of see organically as they make changes. Perhaps their priorities start up one way, but after they meet some services, it can change.
Absolutely.
So they have the ability to put in different figures to see how that changes their budget. So it keeps it on track for them. So they don't have to worry. At any time, they can check and see, well, if that's going to be an extra $100, how does that affect the bottom line?
Right. Here's what we like to call leave some room in your wallet time. Your wedding budget should follow a basic formula. Food and rentals are going to take about half. Then you have about 10% for flowers, maybe 10% for your gown and wedding attire. That also means the gentleman too. 10% for entertainment, unless music is a very important piece, and then it goes up to about 20%. How about photo and video? Please do not forget about video. It's so important to your day, especially in the area of ceremony. And then you have your invites. That tells the story from the very beginning. And then we have what everybody forgets about, miscellaneous items.
This is one of my favorite designers. It's Leanne Rockman, and she's an Israeli designer. It's all bridal couture. There's over 40,000 beads, so hand sewn.
40,000 beads?
Yes. It takes at least 8 months to build a gown like this. And the great thing about couture is that you can always make changes to it. Right. If it's too deep, you can always raise it, but this is her masterpiece, and it's more of a sheath style gown, and it's all about sparkle.
I've been able to film over 3,000 weddings, 25 different countries, 32 different states, and it seems like they're all still in my head. I still remember all the details, still keep in contact with a lot of these brides and everything. Oh. There was a bride who walked down the aisle with a Black Panther.
Right.
And the discussion with the event planner was, should I do a Black Panther or an ice sculpture? She was actually debating between the two. She went with the Black Panther. She thought people would remember.
Pick.
There was the wedding in Puerto Rico where they partied till 2 in the morning, sat by the pool till the sun came up, wanted to do something special, and jumped in the pool with her dress still on.
Bringing together experts like yourself and so many other talented people in the world that we're in, and teaching other planners,
right,
not the consumer,
right,
because we want to give the knowledge. You'll be speaking at it, you're also on the panel. We want to give them the knowledge as planners to step out into their world, wherever it might be from all over the world, as well as domestically, to give to their couples, solid, concrete, direct information that creates the story. You said it perfectly well before. What do? We're like authors.
Absolutely.
We write the book of weddings, but in real time, and we allow the guests to feel like they're these interactive participants.
We do live theater.
We do. Oh my God, I love that. That's great.
That was a little bit of Late Night Bride. And we are here with the producer of Late Night Bride, Peggy Kelly. So let's find a little bit more. I want to talk just a bit about your process putting together a show, because wedding planning, it seems to me like that ties in very well with producing a show. And you walked in the door with a skill set that I wish everybody had. Learn. Learn, people. But planning is critical.
Absolutely.
And I was thinking about this earlier today, because one of the things I always tell our future producers, is there's a lot to production. It's not just show up on the studio and shoot and then put it on the air. There's pre-production, production, post-production. Now I was thinking that's probably the same case with a wedding. There's a lot you got to do in preparation so that you can execute on the day of, and there's not really any do-overs on that. And then after the wedding, what do you do? There's different levels to that. So I don't know why I brought that up, but I thought it was an interesting tie-in, and you come in with a skill set that I think is
and
helpful.
It's really true, because when I came here, I thought, well, I have transferable skills, that this would be easy, and there were pieces that were, and then there were pieces that weren't. And so I learned a lot here that actually has helped me in my live production, because basically I do this live on it. And so when you do a wedding, there is a timeline. And it's not just for the day, it's for the whole process. And you really block it out. So the average today is anywhere from 6 months, 9 months to a year. And depending on how much time you have to work, if you're a full service planner, you're gonna take the full journey.
Wow.
If you're a month of, your couple's gonna take care of everything, you hope well, and then they're gonna hand it to you in a pile, hopefully organized, possibly not, and then you have to execute what they've done. Then there's such a thing, which is a misnomer called a day of. That person comes in a week before. Now, can you imagine coming in a week before?
No, I cannot.
And they do that, and here again, it's for the people that are really organized. They've got it right down the way.
So that they just don't have to think about it on the actual day.
Correct, because their goal is to be 100% present in their day. And our goal is for them to be 100% present on their day. Unlike myself, who was like checking things, off my list in my head.
And taking care of things at the end of
And
the
taking
wedding.
care of things on the way. Now, after the fact, there's just as much wrap up in a live production as there is here. We go to editing here. We don't get to edit, but we do have to go back through all of the vendors. We have to go back through all of the contracts. We have to make sure that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. And I'm a person that has a debrief, not just with my client, but with my team. So that what went right, what went wrong, what could we have done differently? Did we get off on timing? Because what happens in live, as we know, is someone can go long. It's like this.
They're giving me the rap for this segment right now, actually. It's funny. How appropriate. I digress. There's a lot of a connection there, and I want to talk a little about that, because it's not just weddings. And I want to talk a little bit more about your show, and I want to talk a little bit more about what you do, and then we'll talk just a wee bit more about Pasadena Media. But first, we're going to take another one of our landmarks in our show with this brief break, and we'll be right back with more from Peggy Kelly. You're watching Arroyo Profiles. Don't go away.
It's a big responsibility.
Oh, it's huge. I know, it's huge.
And the salary.
Oh my god, yes. I mean,
Right?
I was about to move in with my parents, and right before, so this saved me.
I really believe in you,
Thank you. It's nice to hear that from someone.
These are cool. Did you, what did
I want to talk a little bit more about your show, because having done this for a little while, you're a pretty big deal. It seems to me, some pretty big folk. You've done some important work.
I've been really blessed.
Yeah.
I've been really blessed. In the wedding world, I think that there's rings, just like the ones that we put on our finger. There's rings in the circle, and I think maybe it was the time that I came in the industry. It was also, the experiences that I had that I really got to go up the ring, so to speak. I'm very active. I am truly in the industry. I'm not around it. I network. I volunteer a lot. I'm currently a co-producer with David Tutera, who is a dear friend, who is a celebrity wedding planner. And we met at a bridal show, and we just clicked. And I worked on, he has his own wedding and event symposium. And I was at his first one, and now I am logistics, production, and a speaker at his, that's happening here in April. But it's also, having been in the industry a long time, there's many of us that have grown together, and we've trained each other. Like the lighting people, Images by Lighting, they train me how to do lighting. The rental companies, Town and Country Event Rentals, they train me how to do rentals. So when you hire a professional, ask them what's their background. I mean, I went to cooking school. I'm a chef. I did rentals. I did lighting. I've done production.
You're a real deal.
I really have done the whole gambit of things.
That's almost.
And it's the way we train here.
It's
And it's
almost
exactly
what
how we
do
train
Like,
here.
you walk in the door, and there is definitely a familial atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And You're not going to always love everybody, but they're all friends and all family, and they're all willing to help each other and teach each other. So that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear all of that.
And what I learned here is I worked the camera, I did the lighting, I did the sound. I stage managed a lot because that was an area of comfort for me. So it really is exactly the same as what we do on an event because it is a team.
So when you were going through the training, what are some of the things after completing the training as a volunteer and then actually volunteering on shows? There's still a lot of a learning curve because we don't have a lot of time to get into training. So just tell me a little bit about your experience going through that, volunteering on shows like Arroyo Profiles.
I volunteered on this. I volunteered on Melody Trice's show. Many times I was her stage manager. I still come in and volunteer when I can. The wedding season has seasons, so some months are busier than others. The funny thing was, I remember my first show, I was so nervous. Which
show was that?
That was in August, and we did it with Charlie King and Rich Martinez.
Okay.
And I remember MC, who is my director, just saying, just do it.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to chicken out. Now, I've never chickened out of an event in my life, but this was unfamiliar to me. And you're totally putting yourself out there when you're on camera.
Yeah.
And what I found is that I loved it. More so, I loved everyone that was involved in it. I have, quote unquote, a kind of a family team now with Chris Schwab and Willie Jordan and MC, Franklin and myself and Karen, and we just do shorthand now. And that is what I did find is that, when you get in anything, when you really get in it, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
And it really happened for me here.
Yeah, and I have also noticed, you're generally a nice person, but I have noticed that just among the volunteers and producers, when you give, people just give back to you.
Absolutely.
So I think that helps, and it's kind of necessary because you don't get a whole lot of time. I'm heard you were talking about it can take from 6 months to a year typically to plan these weddings.
Absolutely.
And you can take that much time to plan your shows, but a lot of times you don't get that much time. You come in here, you do your training, and you got to get in where you can. So you just have to kind of be ready to go.
And really hit the floor running, and be courageous. Step through the fear. I mean, I did, and I found my feet in it. Don't expect it to be perfect. I remember what George gave me the biggest pep talk, saying, "Peg, relax. We know what you do." And that he said, but this may not be perfect. And I remember him walking in after that first show, so beaming and proud. And he said, this is good.
Yeah.
And that was everything to me because I didn't realize he was in the booth watching.
Yeah, he sneaks in once in a while. We have a very active boss.
Yes.
He might be watching right now.
Uh-oh.
I want to thank you for being here. Do we have one more segment with Peggy or okay. I could go forever.
Well, that just means I get to come back.
That will absolutely happen.
Yes.
So how many shows did you do before we close out the segment? How many shows have you gotten done? 'Cause you've done one whole season with us, right?
Well, I did a short season. So I have 7 done in the can. The 7th one will actually air. Our time slot is 9 p.m. on Friday nights.
Okay.
We have kind of rolled through them. This past Monday and Tuesday, we did our first on-location shoot.
Wow.
Totally different deal.
Yeah.
Totally different deal. And so we're going to go to edit on that, and then we're going to start again.
And then before we let you go, just how do people find your show? What's your contacts, your socials, and all that?
Everything is Late Night Bride, and night is NITE.
Okay.
So whether it's Facebook, YouTube is where all of the episodes are at. And we're still working on the website because we figured the Facebook and the YouTube would cover us for right now. But we'd love your comments. We'd love for you to subscribe. YouTube.com/Late Night Bride. Just remember it's NITE. We wanted it short and a short soundbite.
Yeah.
And come get engaged. Have fun with us. And if you have ideas or if you have questions, just put it on Facebook and I will answer them.
So you just went in full-blown producer autopilot right there. You just got all of it out, just the promotional thing right there. That's good. That is the time that we have for this segment.
Shucks.
I hope you take some time to actually catch Peggy Kelly's show, Late Night Bride. You just heard where you can find it. We're going to go take another quick break, so we'll be right back after this.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you.
getting that college education. What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else? Or will you dare do something different? Like be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts? Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget. That'd be cool. Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself? What are you gonna make of me?
I don't understand why they give themselves more airtime than I get. That's kind of unfair. I want equal time. You guys got to cut that short. Okay, we always like to have one of our recent volunteers on the program, and today we have Eva Zolotova, a volunteer as of this season, a producer. So thank you for being here, Eva.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. She's watching me on TV.
Yeah, I was mesmerized by you.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
So when did you first hear about Pasadena media? I want to start there.
I've heard about Pasadena media in the fall, I think. Yeah, this fall, 2017.
And you kind of came in and just ran through the whole system. You took all the training classes, you volunteered. I guess it hasn't been, you did it pretty quick. A couple of, 3 months or so?
Three months, I think. But I volunteered 3 times a week.
3 times a week,
Yeah,
wow.
3 times a week, and I took all classes. I still have some classes that I would like to take. But I fell in love with all the process, and that's why what kept coming me back.
Okay, tell me a little bit about when you were doing the training classes. What was that like for you? Who were some of your instructors?
Daniel, Jeremy.
Jared?
Jared. Sorry, Jared.
He's been called a lot worse by family.
Daniel.
Danielle and Jared.
Yeah.
Okay. Jared teaches a lot of classes. He's probably a better instructor than me. Don't let him know I said that. Just keep that
You
between
never
us.
taught us.
Well, if you're unfortunate, you might get me to teach you one of the classes. Did you have a favorite class that you took?
Yeah, it was directing class.
Directing.
Yeah.
And I remember you directed an episode of Arroyo Profiles.
It was a lot of stress, and I understand what is the director feeling right now because I went through this, and you're responsible for everything what is going on right now. That's a good luck to her.
I remember you apologizing a lot after we were done taping.
Yeah.
So there's the control room there. Have you ever directed before, or is that the first time you ever did that?
Never.
Have you ever done television before?
I've took a tour on Fox television, but nothing, no.
Okay, so and you've gone through all the training, and you're actually a producer now.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you? How did you get from, well, first you heard about us, you took all the training classes, you volunteered on shows. What made you, did you come here ready to do your show?
Yes, I already had my show. I already had the idea and a proposal. And what happened here, I met a lot of people. I developed my communication skills, organization skills, and I decided, you know what, I think I can take a shot. Yes, I'm ready.
And tell us the name of your show.
What the health are you talking about?
Okay, I like the way she says that. A lot of energy. And what is it about? I'm guessing it's about talking?
It's about talking about health.
Okay.
I belong to the fitness industry. I'm a former professional athlete, and now I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist. And I truly believe that energy and time are currency of our life. The more energy you have, the more things you can accomplish, the more things you can share and enjoy. And that's why I would like to motivate and inspire people to live better quality life and to be more productive and happier.
Wow. You just went into producer mode and just ran right through. That's those communication and organization skills right there. And what you just recently submitted your first episode.
Yes.
Tell me about your first episode, because you were.
I hope you're not going to.
We didn't have time to edit together a reel for this one, but you can catch her show on the Arroyo channel. Look for it. Tell me about it, because everybody's first show is rough. I don't think I've met a single producer yet who's like, oh yeah, that was a breeze, it was amazing, I had a great time, everything was perfect. So you experienced that firsthand.
The thing that was very amazing to me, I felt so good after the show. I've got a lot of energy, like, wow, I like it, how it looked, what I did. I made a lot of mistakes. I was a little bit like out of space sometimes, but this energy of the interview, I have also an action segment, and the way I went through this, I had a lot of fun. But my organization that I didn't plan to do a fitness segment, that's why it was a little bit rough, but I enjoyed a lot. I had a lot of fun.
And you have you shot your oh yeah, you just recently shot
my second and my
episode.
third.
So what do you think are some of the things you changed after shooting your first episode?
Absolutely. First of all, it was the transition from one segment to another segment. Also, I changed a little bit the script before I introduced my guests, like sitting here, and I did a little bit of walk and switching cameras, kind of. I consider that like an advanced movement, and that's something I learned. Yeah.
And so how do you feel, and you edited your own program. Have you ever edited before you came here?
I used iMovie for my short Instagram videos, but that's completely different story with Premiere. And I'm not a technical person at all. I ask a lot of questions, and you're my victim too. When I'm here, like, But every time I'm getting better, and I ask less questions.
Okay, so for anybody who is thinking about doing this, because you came in and you said you took a tour of a studio one time. You'd never done television. So for somebody who's thinking about it, they have an idea for a show, what's some advice that you would give them?
You know, this is the great opportunity that you can do for yourself. You learn about yourself. You learn about the project, about the production, and you have your project. It's like to make your own event. It's a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress, but also a lot of fun.
Okay. I caught a little bit of your show, and do you think that maybe you're going to change things moving forward? Like you want to make it a little more advanced?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I have some ideas, but I need to gradually, step by step, to go for them.
Well, we will be here to help you with all of those steps.
Thank you. I really appreciate you.
You should take a shot, Charles. I'm supposed to be wrapping up right now, but I heard cameras clicking in the background, and I'm greedy when it comes to pictures.
Today's so live.
Okay, but thank you for coming, Eva. That is actually the time that we have. I also want to thank both Eva and Peggy Kelly for agreeing to join me on this show tonight. And thank you for watching. I hope you found this episode both informative and entertaining. And as always, Arroyo Profiles is produced as part of our training program here at Pasadena Media. All of the television equipment is being operated by volunteers with a little coaching from our staff to make sure they get the most out of their training experience. If you're interested in learning how you can get involved, you can find Pasadena Media through all the usual social media platforms. For those of you who want to do more than like, follow, and subscribe, head over to our website and sign up for our free classes. As you've already heard, we offer training for anyone interested in learning about television, so whether you're interested in pushing the buttons or pushing your point of view, it all starts here with an orientation and tour. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the Arroyo channel.